Welcome to High Gluttony. I'm Gretchen.
And I'm Becca, and we're two ladies on an adventure. Listen along every 10 days or so as we cook a dish we like,
Quest about cannabis education.
or chat with someone we respect.
You can find more information about this episode at highgluttony.com.
Thanks for joining us, Gluttoneers.
Off we go. Let's get to it.
Gretchen, hello. We're recording a little bit earlier today, so this is new for us. I still want to check in, even though it's like an hour later than when we originally thought we were going to start. But how are you feeling now?
I'm still recovering a little bit from the surgery. I don't know why I assumed that outpatient equaled easy recovery from surgery, not fuck you up and leave you dead on a couch for a week surgery. It's my first surgical experience, so it was all new all around anyway. But I will know in the future if I have to go for surgery that it's probably going to fuck me up for a week. I didn't help myself out after that because I managed to slice the fuck out of my finger with a box cutter last weekend. And so I've been working on recovering from that because I did it and I was here by myself and was still not well enough to drive anywhere. So I had to stop all the bleeding myself, which I managed to do. And then I was like, okay, if I still need to go to the hospital in the morning, I'll figure out somebody to take me. It was fine in the morning. I took the dressings off, managed to start redressing it, and then fainted and hit my head on the toilet. So,
oh my God. Oh my God.
That's how my week has been. My head has been very sore. My stomach has been sore. I'm still wearing my support from my surgery, and I've had to figure out how much first aid supplies I could possibly buy in one trip. Turns out it's a lot.
Oh my gosh. You've had quite the couple of weeks. This is also, we took 2 weeks of off recording, which is the first time since last June. A year and a half that we've ever done that. So that was weird too. And you spent that whole time recovering and then hurting yourself and recovering some more.
I mean, the head injury was a bit more that was a bit more because I hit the very back of my head, and I've had to sleep on my back more since the surgery because it was uncomfortable to lay on my side. So I had to
God.
Try to fall asleep while not really wanting to smoke pot, and also having this huge sore spot on the back of my head. So that's been a little bit of a challenge this week because every time I lay down, I just can't quite go to sleep very comfortably. Although I have been on lots of pain medication, so it's been fine. But how are you doing, Becca?
I'm good. I had an interesting adventure this week. James's boss was in town and he invited us out for dinner, and we didn't know any details until the day before. He was flying in the same day, and we thought we were going to meet up with his boss and his boss's wife. And so we get to the restaurant and there are two guys standing outside the restaurant, and it turns out we've been invited to this decades long tradition of an annual boys trip. They've been doing, yeah, right. So they've been doing this for 40 years. Most of them met in college, and then they've picked up one or two along the way. And they go to Vegas every year and spend a weekend just gambling and going to shows and hanging out. We were pretty sure that James's boss invited us so he could write the dinner off as a business expense. And also his boss is in love with him. But it was so funny to be a part of this dinner because it was the first night they were all together, and they didn't get together last year. And then me and James.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been oh my God, what am I doing here?
Yeah, it was really funny. But I was when we first sat down, there were no drink menus. And I was oh fuck, is this a sober group? I did not know that was the deal. And then at before even somebody could ask for a menu, as soon as a server walked by, somebody was I'll take a tequila. And I was okay, we're just okay, great, perfect. Yeah.
You're oh no, there's no drink menus here. They're like, no, we just know what we want. Like, they're like,
yeah. Yeah. Or I was like, did someone say like we're all sober, so don't drop drink menus? Or was there some kind of other, I don't know, cue I missed? But anyway, it was super fun. It was kind of the first time we'd been out to dinner with a group since I don't know,
right.
like May 2020, even before then, probably. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun and exciting and weird. And I was like, I love being out. And then I was exhausted when I got back. And I was buzzed too because James drove, and I was like, well,
Yeah.
like, I don't know anybody here.
Yeah.
We know one person.
I was like, my social anxiety would have been like, keep those drinks coming. Come on. But I'm glad you had a good time, even though it was complete strangers. And so.
It was really fun.
Hi, I'm here to be the tax write-off. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I'll take another drink. You want one too? Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. And I like need some time before I can do something like that again.
Socializing is exhausting.
No kidding. Man, speaking of exhausted, we are drinking coffee because we're recording early.
We are. We decided to kick it off early today. Some goodies made before it got too late. So what are you having as far as your coffee beverage?
So one of the things we're making later includes chocolate, and I have a little Nespresso chocolate fudge pod. So I had that, which is like my favorite indulgence of coffee because it's just chocolate.
Well, I was a little surprised because I was like, I don't feel like you're much of a coffee drinker.
And I didn't drink caffeine for a long time. I mostly drank green tea. Honestly, when we were in Salt Lake and got that notice of the smell of cannabis outside our door, and we kind of scaled back our use, we like stopped almost. We started drinking coffee. And I also started working a lot earlier. And now like my workday starts at 6 a.m. I'm not functioning like where I need to be at 6 a.m. without some kind of stimulant. So I drink coffee now, and I don't love it, but I love it.
Yeah.
I like kind of hate that jitter, but then I'm like, ooh, maybe I'll have another cup.
This is the first time I've actually made coffee since before my surgery. I've been drinking a little bit of warm milk with some powdered instant espresso because I didn't drink coffee at all the first week. Like I didn't, since I was sleeping so much, didn't need it. And then last week I was like, well, I've had a whole week off. And I think the powdered stuff, because I like that, I really like it, but I think it's a little lower in caffeine. So I was like, okay, this is a good place to just start. And it's easy because I can just heat up my milk and put it into my milk and mix those together and then drink it. But today I actually made espresso into my espresso machine and frothed up my milk like usual. And so now I'm having my first real coffee in weeks.
You're going to be buzzing.
Well, let's hope so.
And you mentioned earlier to me that you're not smoking. And so
as much.
Yeah. You haven't been smoking as much. You are going to do a little bit today though, right?
Yeah. Just because it's early and I don't want to overwhelm myself. And I've been weaned off a bit. I did end up smoking a part of a joint the other day and getting way too high. And so I was just like, oh, no. I want to take it easy, start myself out low and slow. And so I'm using one of my handy little one hitters, and I've got my jelly bean here, my trusty handy jelly bean. What are you enjoying today, Becca?
Well, I'm looking at our notes here, and I wrote that I was smoking some purple goat's flower, and I was at the time of the note. But now, like we said, it's been well over an hour since we were supposed to start. So now I'm using a pen that's Jack Herrera, but I don't have any details about what's in it. So it's good. I love it. I think it's a sativa. I'm very much enjoying it. Okay. Oh my gosh, though. What are we doing today?
So we're actually doing two things today.
Pistachio paste and chocolate mousse.
Which is kind of fun because originally we were just going to do the pistachio paste because I just wanted to do this. I was like, I came across this in a recipe and was so excited about the idea. I was just like, can we please make this? And because the applications are limitless. And I started doing the research for this week again, kind of reminding myself about why I was so excited about it and like why it's so interesting. And I just love pistachios. So I think that's part of the excitement is that I love pistachios so much. So anytime I get to use it, I'm like, yeah, pistachio. But this also introduced me to blanching pistachios. So we'll find out how much of a pain in the ass that is today. If that's worth your time and energy, we will find out for you. Yay! And I got to learn something about powdered sugar that I kind of really hadn't thought about before. So we're going to make our pistachio paste and then we are going to make some chocolate mousse because Becca really wanted me to show her how to do that. So we wanted to put the pistachio paste on the mousse. And so we are using a recipe from Miss Stella Parks.
And the mousse has no eggs. So I'm super excited about that too. And I also wanted to say, so Stella Parks is responsible for our pistachio paste recipe. And she's also where we got the toasted sugar and super thick chocolate chip cookies from. So we have just become a Serious Eats trial recipe testers podcast.
Yeah.
Like that's all we're doing now.
Not officially, it's just Gretchen, as this is how Gretchen functions. Gretchen gets really obsessed with something for a while and then she moves on to something else. So eventually we'll move on to other things. We'll move off of Serious Eats, but we really love that website. Like they've got good stuff. And I have to, if you're ever looking for a recipe, they're a really good resource. So yes, I know. We've been kind of evangelizing Stella Parks for the last several episodes. Not without reason. She's really smart.
She totally is. We did cookies with Stella Parks. We did mashed potatoes with a Kenji recipe. And now we're doing Stella again. Again. So that's all. I've just been noticing our trend.
We're on a Stella Parks kick. And so hail the queen.
Hail the queen.
On the side of one of the web pages today, they had a demo video for the toasted sugar, which I like was really just like toasted sugar porn for like a solid minute. They were just like,
nice.
Look how it pours and how beautiful it is. And let's run a spoon through that sugar. And I was like, yeah, I totally do that all the time. Like
me too.
Like, yes, this is my porn.
It's the best texture.
And so like she comes up on the screen and it says Stella Parks. I think it was like pastry wizard. I was like, yes, I love it.
Indeed.
She is. She's a wizard.
Yeah. The mousse recipe, though, is not Serious Eats. So we are slightly more balanced today. And that one is coming from platedcravings.com. And of course, we'll share both these recipes and our thoughts and opinions and everything else on the website highgluttony.com. But what would you say the paste and the mousse world levels are? How complicated are, like, what am I getting myself into today?
I think the most complicated part of this is going to be the blanching and peeling of the actual pistachios, because the paste part is not hard. It might take a little time, but it's not hard. It's just that peeling. So I'm going to call this a world level 3, just because you've got this like fiddly thing that you have to do to get to the paste part. But mousse, I'm going to call it world level 2. I was tempted to call it a world level 1, but then I was trying to explain it to Becca and I either did a really bad job of it or it's slightly more complicated than I think it is. So we'll have to pull Becca for her real opinion at the end. I would almost call it a world level 1. And I think she'll agree once we've done it, like, because doing it and talking about it theoretically are two different things. So I'm going to start with it saying it's a world level 2, but I think you might by the time say it's a world level 1 by the time we're
I think you're right. I think your instincts are right. And I definitely did not get it. It's pretty simple, but we'll see. We'll see. I've said that before. So what are we talking about high level steps for the paste?
So we are going to blanch and peel our pistachios. After frying them a little bit during the peeling process, we're going to put them into a food processor, grind them up, add a few more ingredients, grind them up a little bit more, and then we are done. So that is basic
paste.
Easy
Got
paste.
It. And for the mousse, what are we looking at overview?
So we are going to start by making a chocolate ganache. And after we make a chocolate ganache, we're going to make some whipped cream. And then we are going to fold that into the ganache. And then we are pretty much ready to go after that.
Okay. And what is ganache?
Ganache really just refers to a blend of chocolate and heavy cream. Essentially, all you're doing is adding extra liquid to your chocolate to make it more malleable. Ganache is what you use for the center of truffles. You can use it to cover cakes. So you have different ranges of how much ingredients go together. So you're talking, the basic recipe is chocolate and heavy cream. And if you're making a soft ganache, you use 1 part chocolate to 1 part heavy cream. If you're making a firm ganache, you use 2 parts chocolate to 1 part heavy cream. So we are making a soft ganache. And that makes it so it's a lot easier to fold your whipped cream into the chocolate.
To make the mousse.
Yes, because
I see.
Otherwise, you can just fold whipped cream into melted chocolate, but it doesn't work as well because the temperature of the chocolate, because it has to be a little bit warmer, will melt your heavy cream. So it doesn't work great. So this is a much better way to make like a chocolate mousse. You can do it that way. It just won't be as light and fluffy as this one will be because you're taking the time to lighten that chocolate first.
Awesome. So the ganache is what makes this mousse like hold together a little better.
Yes.
Okay. So how about I read the ingredients then, so we know what you're talking about when you say chocolate and whipped cream and all that fun stuff. So,
all right, if you insist.
For the paste, we've got 9 ounces or about 2 cups of whole raw pistachios. And it's hard to find whole raw shell on pistachios, I discovered. Like a lot of them are peeled, a lot of them are shelled in most places.
Oh, I definitely got mine shelled.
You did?
Yeah.
I thought that was the whole thing.
Wait, sorry. When you say shelled,
like shell on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
No. So yours have the shell on them too.
Yeah, I thought that was the whole thing because you said we have to shell them and peel them, right?
I said blanch them and peel them.
But I thought that was like to get the shell off.
No, it's just to get the papery skin off.
Okay.
All right. It's okay. It's going to be fine. It's not even an issue because it just adds an extra step. It'll be fine. And I think you can just dump the shell on. But
okay.
Are they like, they're not like closed. Like it's like regular,
it's
like
popped. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, you're going to be fine. We're going to do it with those shells on, but you're going to have to do 2 layers of peeling.
I thought that was the whole thing. And I was like, where the fuck are these? I had to go to so many places.
My God. I'm so sorry. Well, that's all right.
All right. Well,
I got, mine aren't whole like they should be. Like they're not full because it's whole and pieces is what I can get at Trader Joe's. So mine are like kind of the opposite of yours where they're a little bit too far gone.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
We will be doing some very good experiments for our listeners right today. I am so sorry that I didn't.
It's okay. I should have checked with you because when I was trying to get them yesterday and I was like, I'll text her. And then I was like, no, like, of course, this is the thing. Like, it's going to be like one really hard thing to find. Like, obviously it would be the shells on, but next time I'll check. Anyway, oh my God. Okay. 9 ounces or
okay. I was going to say, it's also hard to find raw pistachio because I know I can find pistachios at the market down the street, Browns Valley Market. But they're always toasted or cooked and salted. Finding raw pistachios is hard. I don't know how much harder it is to find like raw shell on versus raw without the shell. So that's what I also wanted to say before we move on from the pistachio discussion was like, wait, hang on. Let's clarify though, because finding raw pistachios is not easy. But I am so sorry that you went the extra step of being like, I have to find raw with the shells on. And so I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
It'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, it's not like it's gonna, because if you just have a little more volume to peel off of your nuts. That's all. It's just a little extra work.
Okay. All right. Okay. So 9 ounces about 2 cups of whole raw pistachios, which we will blanch and peel. 10 ounces of powdered sugar, and this recipe does sort of specify organic. Gretchen will talk about that later. And so that's 10 ounces or about 2.5 cups. 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt, or if you are using table salt, you want to do about half as much of that volume. 1/4 teaspoon orange flower water. Gretchen has orange flower water. I have orange extract. We think maybe they're very, very similar. One is slightly more diluted, so I'll dilute mine a little bit.
Mine has propylene glycol in it. That's, I think, the big difference. I essentially have what you have, just with extra shit.
Okay. And then 2 ounces or just shy of 1/3 cup of roasted pistachio oil. I have almond oil and Gretchen has an experiment.
I do.
The last thing here says optional, but it is 2 ounces of water, about 1/4 cup.
And this is just really to alter texture at the end. So I do have mine. I have some measured out just in case, but it's when she says optional, it's totally completely optional.
Okay. And then for the mousse, we've got 8 ounces, which is 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate, either chopped or chips, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, 1 pinch of salt, 3 cups of heavy cream. And as Gretchen was talking us through the ganache, that's 1 cup for the ganache, and then we'll use 2 cups for the whipped cream. So 3 cups total, but 1 for the ganache, 2 for whipped cream. And the last one here is 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. So we see our friend powdered sugar again.
I'm like way too excited to talk about powdered sugar.
Instead of pistachio oil, what experiment are you doing?
So I ended up making a blend of almond oil and toasted hazelnut oil, just so that you get some roasty notes, but something pretty neutral as far as the base oil. And then I was like, well, we could nutty this up a little bit if I add a little bit of coconut oil. So I added some coconut oil. Just to top it all off, I added a little teeny bit of some toasted sesame oil because that's nutty too. So let's get a bit of that in there.
Definitely an experiment. A hella good on the way.
It's like, I might be a little much sometimes. I'm not sure.
What special equipment do we need today?
We need a food processor and really any kind of mixer, but the recipe did say stand mixer specifically. And I think that's just because you're whipping your cream pretty intensively as far as the mousse goes. So better than by hand, like,
because I can't do it. Yeah.
Why was I so mean to you by trying to make you to do it by hand? But I think you can substitute a hand mixer if that's what you've got.
Let's get to it then, for real.
Yeah.
Move to our kitchens. And
yes.
Do you want to talk us through what exactly blanching means and what we're looking for in this part?
So Stella's actual first step with the pistachios is to put them into cold water to soak first. So let's start by doing that. And then I'll talk us through the rest of it.
Is that just in the pan that I'll use to blanch them in? Just kind of throw the pistachios in and top with cold water?
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm going to do. I believe she had you do it in a separate container, but I don't understand because then you are just pouring it into the pan and bringing it to almost a simmer. Stella's personal preferred method is to soak the pistachios in cold water for 5 minutes. So 5 minutes on the timer, then heat them in a wide skillet until the water is steaming hot. I guess she doesn't say that you have to put them in a separate container, just that they need to stand for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Then heat them in a wide skillet until the water is steaming hot, well below a boil or even a simmer. So that's Stella's preferred method. We're really not boiling them. Blanching is essentially just dipping in hot water. So this is, you can do this to beans, you can do this to fruit in order to prepare it for jam. And then cooling it down rapidly is the second step of that. And Stella does recommend actually rinsing the nuts under cool water after you have boiled them to stop the cooking. then drain them and then dry them in a towel, which hopefully will help take at least some of the skin off. That's a technique I've used for various things over the years where I'm trying to like skin something or peel something very small. So you rub it in a towel and it should fall off. That's the idea.
Okay.
So blanching can be like a first preparatory step for like something like green beans. Now, I am interested to do a taste test when we get there. I'm going to taste the skin by itself because Stella describes it as sort of moldy tasting. I wonder if that's really true and if I can tell.
Interesting. What an interesting way to describe it.
She's like, this is really the best way to get the most pure pistachio flavor is to get those papery skins off. And I think that's pretty much the same with all the other types of, well, not almonds, because I've only ever roasted hazelnuts to get the skins off. I've never tried blanching them, which is sort of an interesting thought. I had not. It's like, we just don't do that. Have to toast them. Must be toasted.
That's the only option. Okay. So let's start blanching then. So are you just doing like a low, like a medium low or something?
Oh, no, I wasn't. I was actually doing power boil, which you're right, might be a bit aggressive for what we need here. So I'm turning it down to medium because nuts will absorb moisture. So you don't want to have them in there too long.
I'm getting my heavy cream out.
Oh, I'm actually putting mine in my pot right now because I was thinking, I guess the same thing is like, I'm kind of just standing here. I might as well start the heavy cream for the ganache. So that I am going to start on low because we're also talking about a fat here. And so I really don't want to get this too heated up too quickly. It can make the cream split.
Okay.
And since I'm using shelf-stable cream, which I will note just because there is a possibility that it functions slightly different than just regular cream.
Okay.
I learned this.
We'll find out.
We will find out. This is a lesson I learned when I was trying to help somebody learn how to make something that involved egg whites. And she brought pasteurized egg whites just to learn that you can't use pasteurized egg whites necessarily interchangeably with raw ones. My water is already pretty warm and it's only been about 3 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm seeing some steam. I am going to wait just a little bit longer.
Okay.
So the water's not really moving that much. So I think I just want it to get a good steam going and then I'll be good.
Do you have your vanilla in with your chocolate already? Or
I do.
You do? Okay, so I should do that. Do you keep your vanilla in the refrigerator?
No. Why?
I don't know. I have it in my head that you're supposed to, but I don't really know why.
I mean, the only advantage to that is it would keep colder, which would not allow some of the like smells to the aromatics. I was like, what's the word I want? It would keep some of the aromatics from escaping quite as easily. So it might preserve it a little bit longer, but really, I don't think there's going to be that noticeable of a difference. Steam's coming a little bit faster now. We are at almost 5 minutes. We're just over 5 minutes.
I have a few tiny bubbles happening, but nothing's like...
Oh, mine's boiling. Shit. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Turned it off.
Okay. Do I need to do mine any extra because of the shells? Or do you think...
I mean, that might be why it's taking a little longer for yours to heat up, is you've got more mass in yours.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think that the same amount of boiling time would be fine because the shells are open.
Mm-hmm.
They should be easy to remove. So the hot water should be able to get in there theoretically.
Okay. And did you go straight into the colander?
No, it's supposed to sit for a few minutes until the skin starts to come off.
Okay. Do you want to talk us through that part? I guess you kind of did. Is there anything else to this piece of it? We just let it sit for a few minutes.
Okay. And it's not even very long because I just touched it and yeah, my nuts are getting soft. Okay. Gonna have to go drain my nuts. All right.
Okay. Straining her nuts.
Draining my nuts. And then I'm gonna immediately do a rinse.
Cold water rinse.
Yeah. So we are going to have the exact opposite experience with the peeling today, I think. How's it going over there?
I don't want to wait too much longer. The water's pretty hot and I guess they've been in there for a little bit of time now. So I think I might go too.
All right. I also just noticed that my cream is hot. So
okay,
I'm going to dump mine on my chocolate.
Okay. I don't know if you've talked through the ganache full steps.
Full steps.
Yeah.
So heat up your cream preferably on a stove top. And then as soon as it reaches like the barest amount of simmer, you want to pour it over your chocolate.
And that chocolate has been sitting with vanilla.
Right.
And then when you pour it, you let it sit for a second?
Yes. So I poured the heavy cream on and let it sit for about a minute.
Okay, so you don't stir it. You just pour it right in there and let it sit.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So right now I'm going to use a whisk and I'm going to whisk together my cream and chocolate to make my ganache.
Okay.
So that looks like, yep, that was just long enough.
And what consistency are we looking for in this ganache?
Smooth. Like I'm already done. Just 30 seconds or so.
Okay.
Scrape it down and then whisk that together a little bit. I'll do a scrape with an actual rubber scraper. And then I'm going to cover this and put it in the fridge.
Okay, so heat up your 1 cup of heavy cream. Then once that's just warm, you add it to your chocolate and vanilla and then let that sit for a little bit. And then using a whisk, combine that up, smooth it out with a spatula and cover it, and it goes in the fridge.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to whisk mine now then. It's been sitting for a second.
Oh, forgot to cover it. Hello. And I'm just going to use some reusable wrap.
Okay, I just finished my mousse. That's in the fridge. I guess let's get back to our pistachios.
I laid my nuts out after they sat in the colander for a little bit. I've laid them out on a towel to let them dry a little bit more.
Okay.
And I did rub them a little bit with the towel to see if like maybe the skins would just sort of come off, but it looks like it's going to involve actually picking through and kind of slipping those skins off. So I'm letting those lay on the towel for just a minute to dry before I start picking all the skins off. All right, this isn't bad. The peeling.
Oh, okay. But you need to walk us through the next steps.
All right. So we are going to just peel the little skins off of them and look for any that we might not want to use as a part of our paste to kind of quality control and removing the skins. And it really just takes a little bit of like slipping them through between your fingers to take the skins off.
Okay.
It's quite easy.
And where do they go then? Just into a little bowl or something?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
If you really want to remove moisture from your blanched nuts, you're going to put them in the oven. And I am going to giggle a little bit every time I say nuts. Mine aren't very bright green. They're a little sad brown. I might have cooked them a little too much since they are pieces.
All right. So we're going to peel these off, peel everything off. In my case, take the shells off and that little waxy layer.
Mm-hmm.
And then we grind them up, correct?
Correct. Or toast them.
Or toast them if you're doing that extra, the recommended step that we're skipping.
It's only recommended in the other recipe.
Okay.
It's really a subjective if you want it toasted or not, because it just depends on what you want for the paste, really. You want that bright green color, you're going to go right from the blanching stage, just peel stage into the food processor. But if you want to dry them out and toast them a little bit, you're going to, you can peel them directly onto a sheet pan because why not? Save yourself a step.
Mm-hmm. This is going to take me a little bit of time with these shells.
I am so sorry. I really...
No, it's fine. It's not your fault. They are bright green. So I don't know if that is like a shell stay on thing or not.
Because mine are not the prettiest color.
Mm-hmm.
I wish the color was a little better.
Yeah. So that's something to think about.
And I am sure that has to do with not using whole nuts. I should have cooked them a lot less time.
Sure.
If you ever get to a point where you're like, okay, I can throw some quick Googles at me while you're doing this, then.
Okay, let's do it. Let me just readjust for a second and then let's do this.
Because this is definitely, in my slightly stoned state, taking quite a bit of concentration. So I might not interrupt you today. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah. All
I
right.
make no promises.
I know. We'll see. We'll see how far I get to. If I can even talk and peel.
This is taking a surprising amount of conversation or concentration at the moment.
But. Yeah. Seriously. All right. Let's see how it goes. Quick Googles about pistachios. Of course, pistachios are pretty cool. Just like everything else we learn about. It's like nature's fucking amazing. So pistachios are actually the seeds of a pistachio tree. They are usually green and slightly sweet. They're called nuts but technically they're seeds. Like I said, people have been eating them for thousands of years. They're usually about like an inch long or so, half an inch maybe, would you say, Gretchen? So like they're little guys, like you said earlier.
They're pretty small.
They're teeny little guys.
Teeny babies.
And these little guys pack like quite a punch, though, we'll learn. So for us here in the US, they're mostly grown, like the commercial production of pistachios is done in California, Arizona, and New Mexico. The pistachio tree originated in Western Asia, so like the apple, and archaeologists believe pistachios became a food, which I guess means people just started eating them in 7000 BC. So a long time ago. And then they came to the US, though, in the mid 19th century, but it wasn't really until the 70s that commercial production began in the US. So we've only really known the pistachio for like 60 years or something, 50 years.
Yeah, that's actually surprising.
Totally. We said they're small, but they pack a punch. These little guys have a lot of fiber and protein, and both of those are great because they help you feel fuller longer because they're like actually what your body needs. This fiber is good for aiding gut bacteria. So another one of those, it's like not a probiotic or prebiotic, but it helps with those processes. A 1 ounce serving of pistachios, so that's about 50, is 159 calories and has 5.7 grams of protein and 3 grams of fiber, which I feel like is a lot for 50 pistachio seeds.
I do think that's on the higher side. I know that almonds are the most fibery.
And they have a lot of protein too, right?
Yes.
Nuts have a lot of protein?
Yes. Nuts have a lot of fats and proteins.
Nuts and seeds are cool.
Nuts and seeds are cool.
Pistachios also have a lot of minerals, including copper and vitamin B6, manganese and phosphorus, which I think are like a little bit more on the rare side. So if you need those minerals, go to your local store and grab a bunch of peeled and shelled pistachios and enjoy those. And then they're really good with helping to lower your blood sugar, your blood pressure, and your cholesterol because they contain a lot of unsaturated fats, like Gretchen said earlier. And then they have a lot of potassium. So a 2 ounce serving, so we're getting higher here on the serving size, a 2 ounce serving has more potassium than a large banana and about as much fiber as a cup of cooked broccoli.
Pretty impressive.
It's both an antioxidant and is an anti-inflammatory aid. So that can help with any sort of inflammation. And then it can also help lower your chance for cardiovascular disease, kind of along the lines of what we were talking about earlier, but aiding in lowering your blood pressure and cholesterol. And that's those unsaturated fats again. And then the last thing I want to say is that some studies suggest that having pistachios can lower the amount of fat and sugar in your blood, so your glycemic index there. And it can also help improve, this was an interesting thing, it can help improve the flexibility and tone of your blood vessels.
Interesting.
Did you know, what does tone mean for your blood vessels?
Well, I mean, I kind of assume it's like everything else on your body that it just,
like the structure
just kind of gets weaker over time.
Mm-hmm. And that concludes the quick Googles portion of our evening. And I still have so much peeling to go.
Well, it looks like we got a little bit, a little bit more to go here.
You want to talk about powdered sugar?
The thing I learned about powdered sugar, and it's not that I didn't know this part of it, is actually more like I learned a bit about tapioca starch when I was learning about what makes organic sugar or why she suggests organic sugar. And that has to do with the fact that most powdered sugar contains cornstarch. And this is because cornstarch is hydrophobic, I believe is the term she used. I know we've kind of talked about that a little bit on a couple of episodes, meaning it resists water. So it helps keep that sugar in its powdered form, but it also can work as a thickener So that's another reason why you can't just like grind your own powdered sugar at home, really.
Okay.
Most of them have that extra ingredient, so it doesn't function in the same way. When I was reading Miss Stella Park's lovely article about powdered sugar and why, she actually hates it. She pointed out that sometimes it can be gritty and that it's kind of gross. Like it doesn't have a very good flavor. And I was like, yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about the fact that it has kind of a really off-putting flavor. And that's from the cornstarch. It's like, it makes it kind of tinny. And like, if you ever just put cornstarch in your mouth, like you don't really want to eat it. And that's because it's really not edible in its raw state. So in order to cook it, you have to get it beyond 200 degrees. And so in order to be able to like cook out that tinny flavor, you would have to get whatever has your powdered sugar up over 200 degrees in order to actually cook that starch and make it inert. But with organic powdered sugar, they actually use tapioca starch versus cornstarch. And one of the major advantages of that is that it gels at a much lower temperature. Like it'll gel at room temperature. If you've ever made, I think we've discussed the fact that you are not a fan of tapioca, right?
Right.
Yes. It's like, I think that's a discussion you and I have had, but then again, I've said that before and we're like, no, that wasn't me.
Yeah. Always got to double check.
Tapioca, if you're using like really nice quality tapioca, you start it by soaking it in room temperature water to get it started. So that like helps loosen up some of the starch and make it more able to absorb water when you're actually cooking it. So you can gel tapioca at room temperature, whereas that's something you can't do with cornstarch. It needs that heat to be able to break down the barriers that are keeping the starches in place and allow them out to do their thing. Whereas tapioca is just like, woo, I'm out here. I want to talk to everybody. Bring me some water. I want to thicken up.
Partier.
That is why for this, it really helped with making this paste is because it'll thicken up at room temperature. What's the word I want?
Yeah, I saw her mention that it's kind of almost the consistency of like a marzipan when it's done.
Yes. And if you keep it in the refrigerator, it'll be even thicker. So she does recommend like using it at room temperatures, depending on what you need it for, of course.
Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. I mean, it's fine, but I'm looking at how many have come out of the shells and how many shells are left. And it's not a good ratio.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I feel so bad.
I don't want to hold us up. I'm trying to speed through these.
What if you wrap them in the towel and like smashed them?
The nuts, the seed nuts are a little delicate. And I'm afraid if I do that, it'll smash them.
Yeah, that's a fair point because you've loosened everything up here. Okay, yeah. Never mind.
But it's not that hard. It just takes some time.
Right. I mean, I'm not going a lot faster here. Like, see, although I'm going to sort of maybe go through here and just like try and pick out stuff that doesn't really have any skin on it. Because here, I just rubbing it with the towel a little bit and seeing if, that'll pull some of the skins off so I can just maybe sort through them more than peeling every single one. But I'm still, I still seem to pick the ones that have skin on. So I'm not doing great.
I think I'm going to try a new approach. I'm going to shell everything first, deshell everything first, and then come back through and try to take the peels off like you're doing with like a towel a little more.
Yes, this is quite fiddly.
Extremely manual.
I warned you. I said
I know
numerous times, like, are you sure?
I know.
Because it's not like she didn't warn us. We are going into this with our eyes open. Yeah, I think next time I will go with going to see if I can find whole pistachios because this is deeply annoying.
And like, why can't you just like start with peeled?
The reason is that it's very hard to find them completely blanched and peeled.
Yeah, like not roasted, you mean? But why couldn't they? Oh, because they can't be like raw and peeled.
Right. Yes. The skin won't come off.
Okay. You have to blanch them or toast them.
Yes.
I see.
So, and the skin, the more you dry out the skin, the harder it sticks to the nut. So once you've roasted them, you also can't get the skin off, really. Like it doesn't separate as well.
I see. Well, it's kind of relaxing. It's just kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah. It's fiddly. The fiddly task. So we have tried so many things.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
So many things that we have tried. We do like the rubbing with the towel. We also think it's very important to buy whole without shell.
Oh my God.
Pistachios.
Because if you get the shell.
Don't get the shell and don't get pieces. You will want to kick yourself several times.
Yeah. We did a lot of learning for you in this last hour and 20 minutes. And that was just since we shut off the recording. I think we were still doing it for like 20 minutes before that.
So this is not a fast process. We both managed to get to about 10 ounces worth of our pistachios peeled. If you're making a single batch of this, then you should at least expect to spend about an hour-ish on peeling these fuckers. So,
yep, it's brutal. Good thing we have some cannabis to help with the pain in our fingers and our mental state of just frustration.
I tried dipping them in water to see if the skins would float versus the nuts. Nope. The answer is no, they do not. For whatever fucking reason, that doesn't happen. Then I tried
just palm, just hands.
Just my hands, rubbing them together in my hands. And that did work pretty well because the skins will stick and then you can kind of dump your nuts off into the container. I think that might have been one of the more successful tactics, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And this last bit, we tried putting it in a salad spinner because I noticed that because I was trying to rinse the skins off using water.
You put them in a colander.
I put them in a colander.
Rinse them off.
See if I could blast them off with some water. No, that didn't work either. So then we tried putting them in a salad spinner because I noticed when I would swirl the colander around to get the water out, that the skins would stick to the sides a little bit more. But no dice on that making anything easier. We've tried so many things.
Yeah, and pistachios are little assholes. They have they have more than one little layer. You think you get it all, and then you look again, and suddenly there's this other little layer, and they're teeny tiny little films, and it's just so annoying. And yet, when the pistachio comes out, for me at least, it's like such a pretty little bright color, and so I'm so glad to see it. And then I'm mad again, but I'm happy too.
My paste is going to be more brown than I would like because my nuts overcooked. So they aren't really that pretty of a color.
Which was Gretchen's goal. You were so excited about that piece of it.
Gotta make mistakes in order to learn.
Definitely. And I'm still finishing up my peeling a little bit. While I'm doing this, do you want to talk us through what the next steps look like for the paste?
We're going to put the pistachios into the food processor. I have to set mine up. So we're going to grind the nuts for a few minutes, depending on how dry the nuts are. That determines how long we're going to grind them. So since we're going to have some wet nuts, it shouldn't take quite as long to get sort of into a pasty type stage. And then we're going to add powdered sugar, oil, orange blossom water, and salt. Grind until it looks like a real paste. And then that's pretty much done. It'll kind of puff up a little bit and then get really light in color when we're processing. And then over time, it'll oxidize so that it's a little bit more of a muted green.
Okay. So we put these guys in the food processor for a little bit on their own, and then add the remainder of the ingredients. And then it's pretty much ready to go, although it needs to set for a little bit and kind of thicken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to let that tapioca starch work.
Got it. I started drinking. I'm having a hard iced tea. I don't know if I said that before we stopped, but I just decided because we've been going for so long.
Yeah, we were supposed to be done with this step like 2 hours ago.
We're doing great on timing.
We're just awesome. Yeah. Another learning experience here at High Gluttony.
Yep, this was a brutal lesson. So we'll never do it again. Although we were saying it's hard to know if the bright color I have is because they were whole already, as opposed to Gretchen's pieces, or whole and some pieces that she had, or if it was a factor of being kind of blanched in the shell. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to figure that out, because it would be a real fucking bummer if this color is like mostly achieved with the shell on.
That is when you go, hey, everybody, I have a project I'd like to take on, and you will get to benefit by helping me out with it.
A pistachio peel party. So what do you think was the most effective then?
So I actually am thinking that if you like kind of a good rub in the towel and then kind of carefully take the nuts off the towel and spin them around in something like the salad spinner, and then put them back on the towel maybe. And then using your hands kind of rub on the skins on the towel. And then the skins tend to stick to your hand a little bit better. And so you can kind of lift your hand out, like rub them around, and then like clean your hand off every once in a while.
Sure.
But whatever the process, it's fiddly. Like you're...
We were calling them the precious little pistachios.
Precious little pistachios.
Yeah, they're demanding. Oh, but you missed this tiny little teeny peel, even though you checked me like 300 times. But no, you didn't get this little peel. Fuck you, little pistachio. I'm sorry.
Precious little fuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, this might be like, a multi-stage process.
Yeah. Okay.
But don't buy pieces. Holy fuck. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
Brutal. Yeah, we both made this extra hard for ourselves. Must be a high gluttony episode.
How have we made this harder on ourselves? By accident.
I'm closing in on the home stretch. Is it midnight? Is that...
Has it been 10,000 years that we've been doing this?
Are we in the future now?
What day is it?
We were saying, though, it's quite meditative if you can let yourself just zone out and not think about the pain. Just keep going.
Or not thinking about, oh my God, I have a timetable I'm trying to meet on getting this done. Don't do this when you have like a strict schedule you're trying to keep, because it will fuck you over.
Jokes on us, as always.
You're like, we should do this while we're recording. 3 hours later. Yeah, making the fucking mousse is gonna seem like a fucking cakewalk after this.
I know. I'll be so happy.
We're like over halfway done with the mousse, but like this has taken
years off our lives.
Actually, we could probably, while the nuts are grinding, we could probably do the whipped cream part at least of our mousse, because like the nut grinding is going to take a couple minutes.
Okay, so talk me through that whipped cream part and what the next steps are for the ganache then, or what the last steps are.
So the ganache should be good and set now, because it was only supposed to sit for 20 minutes. And so we might actually, I don't know if you put yours in the fridge, but we might need to get it out of the fridge.
Okay.
Just so that it's not too hard when we go to fold in the other stuff.
Okay.
So let me grab that out, because if we're running the one machine, we might as well run 2 machines. We don't have to we don't need to watch the nuts quite as hard as we need to watch the whipped cream. I am actually trying to see how well set my chocolate is. It's not too bad. It's still pretty soft underneath. Like I was a little worried because the top was pretty dull and it looked very solid, but it's nice and soft. It's a real nice consistency. It'll be very easy to fold our heavy cream in.
Okay. So how are we doing the next steps? We pulled our ganache out of the fridge. We've got 2 cups of heavy cream ready to go.
And that 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. But it's just putting it into the machine, the mixer. And I think whipping up the cream should take less than 5 minutes. I'm going to start my nuts before I do this step, though. So I'm going to put my nuts in my machine, my zhuzh machine.
Okay. Zhuzh them up.
Zhuzh them up.
What speed?
Oh, I think just full high speed is what I'm
Okay.
thinking. But maybe I should check the recipe again before I go.
Okay, I'm gonna start my pistachios
Okay.
in the zhuzher. Okay, the precious pistachios are going. Let's go back to the whipped cream.
So I'm putting my powdered sugar and heavy cream into my mixer too. I'm gonna get that going for my whipped cream now. Oh yeah, perfect. My whipped cream's done. Yeah, it's done. My
Nice.
mounds nicely. Yeah, that's how you want it.
Okay, how are the pistachios? Do we need to check those?
I think mine are at the right stage here. If I set down my lid right now, it's gonna just like dump off a bunch of product because mine's very pasty. Yeah, I think yours needs to go at least another like 2 minutes or so. I'm gonna add everything else right now.
Okay, it's been a couple more minutes.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. It really putting in the other stuff makes a huge difference if you want to see mine since I'm done.
Okay, so yeah, let's do a quick status update. So beautiful. Okay, so yours went for about how long
My first grind was probably about 5 minutes.
with just the pistachios?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then maybe 2 minutes after I put everything else in. Is yours still going over there?
No, mine stopped
Oh, okay.
because I need to switch bowls. I just used the small one for this paste part, and
Like,
I
wow.
I'm just realizing that the weight for these pistachios must have included the shell because I don't think this is enough. So
Oh,
I gotta figure out how
how
much
much?
powdered sugar to put in.
Okay.
And of course, I don't know how to use the food processor. So you finished your paste completely,
Mm-hmm.
and you also made your whipped cream.
Mm-hmm. So I'm ready to fold my mousse together. And I'm going to put a little salt in my chocolate, kind of roughly a pinch.
So now you're finishing up your chocolate mousse.
Right. All right. So I'm going to take a couple scoops of the remaining amount of whipped cream because we're setting aside part of it for topping and decorating.
Okay.
And so I'm adding a couple scoops into my ganache to start lightening it. Now you can put the full amount of the whipped cream into the ganache itself, but what I'm going to do is do a first addition, which will help lighten it a little bit more. And then I'll add the rest of the whipped cream and that'll have a lot more volume. I'm not going to smash as much air out of my whipped cream.
I see. So putting it in like sections helps keep that like fluffiness.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to try and fold it as gently as possible, but you're still going to knock some air out of it. So it's a little bit streaky. It has some white streaks of cream into it, but the color of the chocolate has really significantly lightened up. Looks really good.
Okay. And did it like
And
deflate a little? Or?
It deflated a little bit, but it really just lightened up the texture of that ganache so that it's going to make it really a lot easier to add that second addition of cream. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape the remainder of my cream in there, my whipped cream. And
okay,
it'll be
the second and last addition.
So it'll be a little tight, my like little tiny bowl that I used for my ganache.
I know watching you made me think like the bowl that my ganache is in is not going to be big enough for
probably not
this.
Yeah, a bigger bowl would have been good. I just like lifted and tried to scoop from the outside of the bowl. So I think I needed a little bit bigger bowl for my mousse.
Okay. Right now, it just looks like you mixed vanilla and chocolate ice cream. Like that's like kind of half melting and you're just kind of like swirling them up together.
That's essentially what I'm doing.
While you're finishing that, I think I'm going to add my powdered sugar over here, or at least get started with adding it. And we'll see how much I end up needing.
Did you weigh how much, or how much did you end up having? Do you know, or did you not really get that far?
I didn't. They were in measuring cups, and I have about 1.75 cups. So just a little under, but I didn't weigh. So I'm going to do about 3/4 of the powdered sugar. And then
sounds perfectly logical to me.
Okay. So it just all goes in, right?
Yep.
Is it supposed to be running?
No, I put it in and then turned it on.
Okay.
Otherwise, you have to add it pretty slowly. And I think it doesn't seem to make that big of a difference. So,
but then the oil, you're supposed to like slowly.
Oh, I just threw that in too.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
I think you're right. I think that you're supposed to drizzle it in, but I did not do that.
We are off book today.
way off book at this point. Yeah.
We are off recipe. We are on our own.
All right. I am done with my mousse.
Okay. Yay. Awesome.
Not that hard.
Okay, here I go. Oh, wait, I gotta add my orange water.
Yes, that's delicious. Well, this would look a lot prettier if I piped it into these cups, but I'm kind of lazy.
Squishing it in.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't be that pretty.
Uh-huh. Okay, I'm going again. Almost there. Mine's okay. It's pretty oily. I'm wondering if I need some more powdered sugar.
Probably.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. The mousse and pistachio paste together. Nice.
Nice. Okay, going again.
You all right over there?
Yeah, just throwing things or dropping things, I guess. More accurately. Okay, one more time. It's so oily. I think maybe I had more pistachios than I realized.
Possible.
Oh, I know what I think. I think the problem is that I didn't adjust my oil quantity.
Oh, yeah. You can fix that by just keep adding the sugar.
Okay.
Because it is thickening up quite a bit. And so I think if like you added some extra sugar, it'll thicken.
Okay. It's pretty thick. It's just really oily.
Yeah. I think that's fine. I think you can let that sit and it'll thicken up a little bit more with as the tapioca starch kind of pulls everything together.
I'll take it out of the
Go ahead.
thing. Okay. Awesome. It tastes so good.
I know, right?
I'm
like, I think it'll just get better the longer it sits too. I almost wish we were going to give it more time to sit before we wanted to use it. But
okay, and then remind me, the paste goes in the fridge or it just sits out?
Sits out.
Okay.
But you can store it in the fridge to extend the shelf life. So if you can keep it for a week at room temperature. If you want to store it longer than that, you got to put it in the refrigerator. So it'll last a month in the refrigerator.
Okay, I have to do my whipped cream still.
Okay.
So I'm going to get going on that over here. I did it! I made whipped cream, look! I made it!
Huzzah!
Yay! Woohoo!
I told you it'd be a lot easier.
It's fun when you make it in the mixer.
Yeah. Very, very true.
It just puffs up all of a sudden. Okay, so I'm almost done. I'm just adding it into my ganache now. I'm doing half first here.
I almost wish I backed off slightly on the orange flower water or the orange blossom water.
A little too orangey.
Mm-hmm.
But how's the pistachio flavor?
It's good. I just wish it was a little more intense. And I do think this is something that it's going to get better as it sits, just as things kind of come together and intermingle.
Mm-hmm. Get to know each other a little more.
Yeah.
Like a forced work retreat. I think I'm all mixed.
Oh, beautiful. Yours is prettier than mine. Like yours is lighter color, but beautiful.
Too much whipped cream in? Oh.
Is there too? Did you separate out some for garnish? Doesn't matter. Who cares?
Oh, well, I have a little left. Maybe I'll make a little more.
There you go.
So pretty on top.
But that looks lovely. I did use some dark chocolate for mine, so mine might be pretty darker because I did that.
And then does this sit, like, can it sit longer? Can I put this back in the fridge and finish like combining them later?
The mousse?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I would have it like it looks completely mixed to me, but yeah, you can either, dish it out later or do what you like with it later. You don't have to deal with it right now. I mean, the chocolate will set some, but not so much that it would be like impossible to deal with.
Okay.
Scraping out the remaining part of my pistachio paste into a jar. And I didn't add any water at all to mine.
I added a teeny tiny bit, like 1/8 of a teaspoon or something. Yeah. Just because I did a little extra, like a teeny extra with my extract.
Right.
But it's so good with the paste.
Mm-hmm. Now this is a truly inspired idea you had, Becca.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Bit of a nightmare.
A little bit, but we know so much now after that. And you know so much.
I made mousse. I made whipped cream. I made pistachio paste that is seriously so delicious. I keep snacking on it and I can't because I know I have a limited amount. I loved this. That definitely, what do we plan for 2 hours? And we're looking at 5 total now. What the fuck? So
of course, the first hour was us just getting ready to talk. So
that's true. Good point. 4 hours of active time. I think it was worth it. I think we did a few things to make it extra complicated for ourselves, like you using pieces and halves and me using the shells and messing up my ratios for everything. But it tastes so good. And I'm so glad we did it.
Look what we learned.
how to
Okay.
keep making messes in the kitchen. So check it out on Instagram and Facebook. We'll be sharing pictures of the final result. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Tell a friend. Keep telling your friends about it till they're just exhausted by hearing you talk about high gluttony. Thank you.
Yay! Another one down.
Off we go.
Off we go.
Oh.
Yeah, that's fine. Later.